Perfect.
Yep. From now on, we are recorded.
Okay.
Okay, let me share again.
So I was discussing about the flow diagram of
Yep.
the TG. As I said, we will start collecting data, and then we will start really performing this LCA, and we will do it as a parallel exercise. You participants and we leaders, and we'll probably use proprietary software, and we will supporting using some free software. If you have some proprietary software, we can also discuss about it. But the idea was to use possibly a similar tool, which is freely available. And once we have these results, we can start doing a benchmark. So having a reference value for conventional asphalt mixtures. And then we can do the same exercise for WMR asphalt and doing a comparative analysis of the results in terms of CO2 and energy use. LCA can be really, can be much wider and full of complications, and impact categories can be more. We can have not only asphalt mixture, but start looking at road pavement. The picture can be, made more complex with the time passing. But at the moment, we think really that this is the minimum that at least we would like to have to start with. And we can make it richer, maybe within the TG5 also, or maybe in some other experiences that we can create in the future. I think I finished, and before giving it to you, Anna, so you can provide the explanation of what we created so far.
Yeah.
Can I ask, is there any question? Because really, this would like to be a platform to interact.
One question, Davide?
Laurent.
Yeah. Hi, Laurent.
Yeah, hi. I have one question. In your slide, so you are mostly focusing on the global warming potential and energy use, or are you considering more than just these two indicators? Because we clearly see the trend, and especially when we work for construction, that people are looking for much more than just two indicators.
Absolutely, Laurent. Full LCA is what should be the end goal for everyone. As I was saying, we want to start with something that is simple and gives that at least two parameters that most of us can see be applied. Then this exercise can be extended also to other impact categories. But in that case, we will need to see also which type of life cycle impact assessment methodology to be used. There will be differences, for instance, in using different databases. It's an exercise that can be done, but at the moment we would like to start, easy. Let's see if we manage to collaborate, and maybe we can also extend it to other impact categories. Why not?
Yeah. So maybe just an input from the industry perspective. So we clearly see that people are more looking for, so there are PCR taking in place, and they are just following the EN 15804.
Yeah.
And if you have a look, maybe you are aware now, but in Spain, so AENOR, they issued some PCR where you have to record 25 indicators.
Yeah.
And you see the name in the Nordics. But anyway, if you have already the LCI Model 8, we can export, in fact, whatever you want indicators.
Exactly. That's the point. And as you see, energy comes from LCI, then we just use one impact categories. But if you have to go to which type of assessment, which indicators, it would be great to do this type of discussion, but I think it's early stages now. At least this is our opinion.
Okay, great.
It's open.
I think David raised his hand.
Yeah, I have a question regarding the variability or maybe the scope of the project. Because, for example, there's different practice in different countries. In Belgium, we import a lot of aggregate, so maybe the impact of mixtures here may be higher than in Spain, where they mine a lot of aggregate. So is that part of the scope of the study to capture those regional specificities, or the idea is more gather inputs and then do a blank analysis where conditions are similar?
Very good question, David. I'll reply, but also maybe then Anna can complete. Really, I think that one of the key points of this exercise is that we would like to create an LCA for the product acquisition phase. So really for the component of the asphalt mixtures. So how different it's the acquisition of aggregates, of the binder, because certainly we can use databases like the LCA of Eurobitumen for the bitumen, or something similar for aggregates. But considering the expertise of the platform and the partners, we think that we can start at least doing this exercise. So thanks for pointing out. We plan to differentiate it.
Right. Okay, clear. Thanks.
Good. Thanks for the question. Anyone else?
No.
Well, I'm sure the question will come. So, Anna, I will look at the chat now and
Okay.
eventually.
Okay. You can stop me at any point if there is any question or comment or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'm going to explain a bit the activities that we have been actually carrying out since the beginning of the TG. So as Davide mentioned, the first task is to have a benchmark for the impact of asphalt mixtures. So to start with this, we have been carrying out an extensive literature review, which we started by combining the concepts of life cycle assessment and benchmark to obtain the documents. So using this, we got a large number of papers, reports, etc. As you can see, a total of 605, starting in 1997. And what we can see in the graph is how the interest in combining these two concepts have been growing, especially in the past 10 years. So after having this large amount of documents, we kept filtering to see actually the ones that were related to what we are doing in the TG, so focusing in the construction sector, and of course reading the title, abstract, and full paper. At the end, we have been working closely with about 20-25 documents to come up with our methodology. So the methodology is divided in 4 phases. Phase 1 is the one in which we are now and why we are here today. So it's the data gathering. We have been defining the goal and scope of the study. We have to collect of the data. Then we will do a data analysis that will include what David was mentioning. So taking into account the place, the year of the data, etc. And so on, data cleaning. Okay, let someone in. Admit. Okay. The second phase is a data quality assessment that we will perform using different criteria, such as relevance, completeness, geography, technology, etc. Then phase 3 is the database creation, where we will have sorting the data per different category. So for example, the mixture type, the materials, production, temperature production, etc. And finally, phase 4, that is the generation of the benchmark itself, having the value outputs that are the impact categories that we are working with: global warming potential and energy consumption, energy used. Yeah, so as I said, we are now in phase 1. So we define the goal and scope of this project, and we are focusing in materials for asphalt pavement. So in particular, we are focusing on asphalt mixtures, and this means that we will do a cradle to gate analysis. So we will have 3 life cycle stages in the study, which are raw material supply, or A1, transport to plant, or A2, and manufacturing in the plant, or A3. A1, A2, A3, always related to the names in the European standard 15804 for the sustainability of construction work. The declared unit that we're going to analyze is 1 ton of asphalt mixture manufactured at the plant, and the impact categories that we mentioned are global warming potential and energy. So what is your contribution, or the contribution of the participants at this stage? Well, first of all, tomorrow or next week, you will receive what we have created, that is a data collection tool. You will receive this in the shape of a compressed file, and then you open it. It's a folder with 8 files. The first one is a Word with a summary and guide to tell you how to use the tool. But we are going to see that today in detail. I'll show it. Then you have to complete some Excel files. So the tool is completely Excel based, very easy, and then send it back to us, to the TG leader. So it's a conventional and normal data collection procedure. Again, what this is the how it looks: the first document, the questionnaire and summary, and the Excel files. So before going in detail into one of these files, we just wanted to give you some general information for this phase. So as Davide mentioned, we are going to analyze both conventional mixtures and WMR. So ideally, at least each participant should select 1 conventional and 1 WMR to provide data. Then you could give us as many as you want, but at least 1 conventional and 1 WMR. If you have data about only conventional mixture, well, that's also fine. But at the end, the focus of the TG is to have analyze the mixtures with waste materials. So yeah, at least one of these. Then the second point is quite important, and it's because you will see it now. The templates or the tool for the data collection is quite detailed. So when you open the Excel file, you will see a large number, a big number of rows and cells to fill, and we don't want you to feel overwhelmed. Let's say when you see that. So at the end, you can provide the data that you have. And you can, it's not that you have to fill everything. We will see it more in detail now, but just to keep in mind that you, of course, you provide what you have. And finally, also to mention that you can give us process-specific data or average data. So this is, imagine you have a case study in which you are manufacturing a mix in a plant. You can give us, for example, the energy consumption of the plant during the time that mixture is being manufactured. So that's primary data, and that's specific for that mix. But maybe instead of that, what you have is the average energy consumption of the plant. So that's also fine. I mean, if you give us that, it's perfect. We just have to know what you are giving. So just make a comment in the Excel file or let us know. So we see what we know what we are analyzing, but both approaches are fine. Okay, and these apply to all the 3 life cycle stages that we are going to analyze: raw material supply, transport to plant, and manufacturing. Finally, there is also the option that you may have a material, an asphalt mix, and you already have some results of LCA, previous LCA, and that can be also included in the tool, the data collection tool. Okay. So having said that, I can open the file, the tool now, and show you. I don't know if there are any questions at this point.
Yes, still Laurent speaking. So you will follow the PCR from Napa. correct? The link you put at the end?
The link is an example.
It's just an example.
Yeah, no, it's only an example.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, get it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, we can actually see the example, but it was basically to show how an EPD looks like. And that in EPD, you have the information that we can use it as a data from previous LCAs. Yes, was just an example.
Okay. So now I think you can see it's just a folder. So this is how the tool shows when you open it. There is the questionnaire summary, and then there are 7 Excel files, which correspond to different case studies. So the files are the same inside the file, but we have just created them to make it easy for you. So you can provide data about a hot mix asphalt, warm mix asphalt, half warm, cold, and then different case studies for different waste materials included in the mixes. So what I'll show you is the first one, the case for the hot mix asphalt. In a second.
Anna, while you open, I just want to clarify some names and acronyms that we have been mentioning now. Thanks to Laurent to actually mention them. So to arrive to an EPD, it's an environmental product declaration. It's basically the impact that a certain product has on the environment. To arrive to that, people perform environmental impact assessment through life cycle assessment. So before EPD, you have the LCA, but before performing the LCA, you need to have some rules to perform that exercise. And this is what are known as product category rules, which are the PCRs we mentioned before. And the asphalt industry is now trying to come up with PCR, which can be generalized for European industry, and this is what IAPA is doing. And while in the States, they already did something similar, and this is what NAPA did. We are not following any specific PCRs, but definitely referring to the standards that we will mention within this explanation.
Yeah, and the example of the EPD there is to show the type of data that you could also provide. I mean, if you already have an EPD of your mix, that's fantastic. And but if you click there later, we will send the presentation. You see the output, no, what an EPD is, and the type of indicators that you can have once you've done it. So the type of data that you can provide, or let us know if you already have EPD of your mixes. But yeah, okay, so you can see the Excel, right? The Excel file, Davide?
Yes, I can see it. I think also other people can see it.
Okay.
Maybe you can make it a little bit larger, Anna. You can. Yeah.
Okay. I'll do that in every sheet. Okay, so when you open one of the Excel files, this is the first sheet. You see that we have an introduction, information, and then one tab per life cycle stage that we are going to analyze. And finally, we also give some references used during the creation of the data collection tool. So the introduction one is just very simple, some steps to follow. It tells you how to fill the template. The orange cells are those to fill, and the blue ones are automatic calculations that will be performed. If we click start, we go to the info one. So we just require some information about the person, the participant, the person filling this, and a brief description of the case study. The case study, as Davide said, is just the manufacturing of an asphalt mixtures. So we ask about the year of the manufacturing and the location. That is very important, also related to the comment of David before. Then we give some optional some information that you can provide that is optional regarding the road type, if you know for which road that asphalt mix was being manufacturing, operation type, payment dimension, or traffic level. But this is just optional and will not be very relevant for the study of the TG. And then if we click next, we go to the first tab for data collection. So this is the raw material supply stage.
Anna, can you make it bigger?
Yeah.
I think this is important now.
Okay.
Perfect.
Better? Okay. So yeah, the type of information that we ask here is about the production of the components of the mix. So we will need information about the energy consumption, for example, or the production of the binder, aggregates, filler, wrap, polymers. You see the different materials here. Cram rubber, waste glass, steel slag, and any other that can be added. Okay, I'll explain first how this works and then some comments. So here, if you click in any of the materials, it brings you to that part of the tab in which you can fill it in. So for example, staying here, virgin aggregates, we ask about the name of the production site, so it would be a query, total annual production, if there is any contact for that query, and then the type of material we are extracting, etc. And the most important thing is the energy use. So electricity, diesel, we added here all type of fuels that could be used. That's why there are so many raw, but you would only use one possibly or any other. After the extraction of that material, there can be a storage of it. So there would be transport included to that storage. And this is information about the type of vehicle that transport the material, fuel consumption, distance, and then information about the storage itself. Finally, as we said, we always ask for any possible previous study, previous LCA. So you can provide indicators already about that specific materials, if that exists. Now, we know that this having information about this life cycle stage of what for each of the materials of each of the components is very difficult, especially for us that we work mainly with the mix, and the main exercise is about the manufacturing. But so don't stress if you don't have any information about this, especially for the conventional materials. So for binder, aggregates, filler, and possibly wrap, we do have databases that can be used. So if you don't have any information to fill here, that's fine. If you do, that's amazing and that's perfect. That's what we ideally would want to. That about the conventional materials. About the waste for the WMR mixes, it would be quite important if you could provide it. So if you are doing a mix with cran rubber or waste glass or any other, and you could have or make the effort to have some information about the waste, that will be very important for the purpose of the TG. But if not, it's fine. That's what I meant with not being overwhelmed with the tool. Okay.
Anna.
Something to add? Yeah.
There are a couple of questions. One from Laurent says, are you looking at primary data or average data per region?
Okay, that's what we mentioned. Both are fine. So if you have primary data, that's perfect. Just let us know that is primary data. If you can provide some average per region, that's also good. We just need to know what we are dealing with, but both approaches are okay, are more than fine.
Another question, there are another couple, but this is very much related to what we're saying now. So how are you going to check the authenticity of data?
The authenticity. Well, we trust you. I guess. Well, for the data, what we will do later on is a data quality analysis. So we will see the representativeness, the place where the data was taken, year, etc. And if you are providing primary data, probably we would need to have a chat with you also then once you have validated. That's something that can happen later. We can have meetings individually with each participant if you need help, or there is something to discuss. But yeah.
But certainly, from this, I think Anna, they raise a good point.
Yeah.
Maybe each primary data, whenever is given, also the average data, should be attached with some reference, you know, just to understand where the data come from. So I think we are giving enough space in the database to specify this.
Yeah, all the information of the data, any information about the data is what we need. So yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, Anna, if we have a space for references, do we have it? So if they want to say that they got it from some report or...
Well, we can add something here in the info, possibly, or just add a comment on the side of each data. We can add another tab just for that type of thing.
Or just maybe people can put over a cell, they can insert a comment and say,
exactly,
this data came from this source.
Yeah.
This can be a solution. Thanks for the question.
Thank you.
Sorry, I have a question. Does the source should be attached for you, or just like the link, or just to say that it's from that information was given by manufacturer and etc. How much the detailed the source should be?
Go on.
Well, as detailed as possible, really. I mean, this is an exercise we're doing together to build an LCA together. And we need to really trust each other and act with a scientific method. So we have to trust participants, and you have to help us in having data that we can trust. So we will ask you, as we say before, for references, but we can check data, all right? We will have a data quality exercise for the benchmarking, but we will need to rely on your availability and honesty to have the data that we can consider primary data or average data.
Yeah. We can add also a column maybe here, and then for people to say if it's primary data or secondary data, and if it's secondary, the source of the data. Okay, yeah, but that was a very good comment. So we can.
We have to fix something. We will think about what we will need to facilitate this process.
Yeah.
Anna, there are a couple of questions, very quick. One from Camilla. Crumb rubber can be wet or dry process. If it's wet, then it's a binder, which is modified. So I will consider it as a binder. If it's dry, then it can go in crumb rubber. Because the same for the PMB. We should ask polymers and how it was blended. So for how we structure the database, I believe, but Anna, correct me if I'm wrong, that all the information are for admixture, rather than modifiers of binders.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, but both options can be. You can give data for both. It's not
I think maybe we can proceed and take the other question later on, because people keep on writing.
Okay, that's that. So this is the first life cycle stage, A1. Then we go to the second, that is transport to plant. So this is much simpler. We just what we need here is the data or the information about the transportation of each component of the asphalt mix to the manufacturing plant. So we have a section for each of the materials, same as before: aggregates, fine and coarse, bitumen, filler, wrap. And what we ask for each of them is the vehicle that has transported the material, the type, weight, fuel type, fuel consumption, distance, etc. Now, again, same than before, this is a lot of information. If you have it, that's perfect. If not, what would be really important here is the distance between, if we are talking about aggregates, for example, between the quarry and the asphalt plant, so the distance between those 2 points, and possibly the fuel type of the vehicle, but mostly the distance. Okay, so this part is quite simple and it's the same for each material. Again, you have the option of others materials always, rejuvenators, whatever is not included there specifically, and giving any previous LCA for this stage, but this is something complicated. And finally, there is always the button of next, if it works. Okay, this time it didn't work. But we will do the next, that is the final one, and is the manufacturing. So this is the core of the of our exercise.
Sorry, can you make it bigger again?
Again, yep.
Perfect.
Okay, so yeah, what we need here, as we said, you choose a case study, so you have the manufacturing of a mix in an asphalt plant. We need some information about the plant, so the name, the location, total annual production, if you know it, any contact, if possible, and then the definition of our case study mix design. So we need the heating time in the plant, production temperature, as we said, you can give data for hot mix, warm mix, half warm, etc., and the productivity of the plant. Once after that, what we do is define our mix. So the mix design or the recipe. So here you just have to select the type of layer that the mix is gonna be used in later on, and the amount of each material in the mix. So here in the quantity, just fill the type of aggregates, if limestone, bitumen, if it's a modified bitumen, maybe the penetration grade, filler, wrap, as many information as possible, and the amount. So this is, I would say, the most critical part of the data that we need and the most important one. And then the information about the production of the mix. So we have divided it in heating and drying process and mixing process in the plant, but you can provide the data all together or even more broken down in different processes if you have it that way. And it's about the electricity use, the fuel, and we put here any type of fuel possible, might be others, and about the amount of it used during the production. Again, you can have it specifically for this mix, what Laurent was saying, primary data. So you have a mix being manufactured during 20 minutes in a plant and you recorded the energy consumption during that time, or you can have it as an average of the plant. That's also fine. Just specify which one it is. And finally, we have again the same option. You can give the cradle to gate LCA results about that mix if you had it. We put here a compilation of indicators. So you can give the number itself, where you took it or how it was calculated, and the impact assessment methodology that was used to have it. And that's it. Basically, at the end, there is a reference tab, just with some references and links that we used for this. I think that's it.
Yes. Well, I'm sure that we can go in details on each of the point. And before opening for further question, I will go to the question that some of you already written here. Peter, would this work with different types of mixture, such as porous asphalt? Well, I can say, Peter, yes. And again, we would like to group this conventional mixture and WMR mixture based on the result we have from you. So what we will ask you is that you give us at least one conventional mixture and one WMR mixture, but the more we have, the more we can populate the database and group the different mixtures, and maybe we can have different benchmarks. So related to that, and I'll still take this question, Anna, just to, because it's connected to what I just said. David was asking, for the purpose of this study, our mixture will RAP consider conventional or WMR? Good question. We do consider them as WMR, okay? There is already an exercise in the TC RAP that is doing LCA or RAP mixture, but for us, conventional, it's really conventional, bitumen aggregates and avoids. Whatever is a secondary material or recycled content, we'll consider it as a secondary material, so WMR mixture.
Yep.
So instead, Anna, I'll give you the question of Laurent, that he also, first of all, says, that's a really great tool, very comprehensive, well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laurent. Let me say also thank you to Tom,
yeah.
a student who is working in Granada and has been very, very good, very good. Tom is a brilliant guy, and he's going to help us through the exercise. And then Laurent, it's giving us a support, saying for bitumen, there is already data for average LCI in Europe, with Euro bitumen 2020 LCI, and you can request the full LCI. We'll do it, and
EPDs from.
Yeah, and I mean,
and if you have a look, in fact, on the Spanish website, there are already some EPD for Spain for PMBs and crumb rubber modified bitumen emission. It can provide us an indication when we want to benchmark with some further calculation. But it's EPDs, so it's the last part of your sheets every time.
Okay.
It's quite useful, and it's always good to have some benchmark to assess the authenticity or the accuracy of the outcomes.
Laurent, thanks so much, and really keep on giving this type of support also, because you are more in a IAPA and can give us some more perspective from the industry. Really, what I wanted to underline, that this work of taking LCI and benchmarking, this is what as coordination we will do, okay, so that we can help with the benchmarking process. This spreadsheet, instead, if you really to motivate people and guide them in starting understanding how to do data collection and LCI to then arrive to the LCA. So thanks so much for this. I took a note, and we'll definitely ask for the LCI and get the EPDs. And a question from Ankit. I'll read it for you if you want.
Yeah, I believe emission factors are considered for calculating global warming potential. How the variability of emission factors are considered.
For calculating, I'm not sure I get the question, Ankit. I believe emission factors are considered for calculating WGWP. How the variability of emission factors are considered? Well, Ankit, if you maybe you want to answer, then I can give my perspective on it.
I think he means the factors depending on the impact methodology assessment. Yeah. Impact assessment methodology. Is that, Ankit?
Yes, same thing.
Yes. Good.
Yeah. Okay. So as a first idea, we will use the methodology in the European standard. Okay. So it's not that we are going to compare impact assessment methodologies. So not considering different emission factors.
Okay.
So that variability, as an initial idea, is not gonna. We're not gonna see that, but it could be an option to have a study on that.
On top of that, Ankit, really, we will, regardless of what we're going to choose, for sure we will choose one. And probably will be the one linked to the software that we are going to use. Probably, but it's open to, you know, we can decide it together. But probably for the exercise that we are doing, which is really a carbon footprinting analysis plus the energy, we can use a tool called Aspect, made in the UK, and it was very recently updated to the 2020 version. But again, this is just an idea. We don't want to connect this to any specific tool, really. This is, you know, it's an exercise that should go beyond the specific tool. But we think that it can be useful to use something which is freely available. So the emission will depend on how, in this case, or in that case, Aspect will calculate GWP. But in any case, we will make clear what is our decision. And we will use only one LCA methodology. Any other questions?
Thank you, Ankit. Yeah.
I can't believe it's all clear.
Well, I guess more questions will come when we send the template around, and then people start to deal with it.
Anything that you find it absolutely wrong in this DG, you know, we are already open to challenge, you know, something that you would like to change, because I mean, this is our ideas, and we try to tailor it as a simplest exercise possible to start with. But I know Laurent already mentioned some stuff. Maybe, is there anyone else?
Hi, Davide, Federico from ACOM here.
Please.
I have a question. What if, I mean, we can collect some of the data, but not all of them? Would the tool work anyway? Could then we fill the data with some other that we find from the literature, some average from the literature? How would that work?
That's absolutely fine. Anna, you want to reply? Go for it.
Yeah, no, the answer is yes, you can, it works anyway, and that's fine. If you have primary data for some of the life cycle stages or processes, perfect. And then the rest, either you can provide secondary data or let us know and we can try to fill it in with databases, etc. But it is completely fine. Yeah.
Okay.
And on top of that, I will say that Federico, really doing LCA now is so much dependent on the analyst that actually, if people can use only primary data or they have access to secondary data, then it would be good to see the results, and we start seeing the uncertainty of these results. You know, and that's why we would like to write a benchmark, because we would like to understand what is a benchmark value, but also eventually an error bar, no? That we may find by using only primary data or using secondary data. So starting giving some idea on the uncertainty of the results that we present based on the, you know, the quality of the input data. So it's absolutely fine, and it's actually advisable that we have some variation in that sense.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question. Well,
There is something. Ah, no, okay. Okay, Camila, thank you. There was something in the chat.
okay. I don't see any other questions.
Okay.
I think we went already beyond the 1 hour.
A little bit, yeah.
So if there is not any urgent question, any burning queries,
Let me just mention, David, I think there are people that connected that didn't send us the participation form, or if they register in Eventbrite, that's fine. I have their email, so we will be in touch. But if not, please send us an email so we can send you the tool. So the next step is that we will send the tool, and then possibly we'll send also a tutorial video in YouTube that we have together with it, and we start working on it. So yeah, if we don't have your email, just please send an email to us or leave it here in the chat now. But for the people registered in Eventbrite and those who sent the participation form time ago, we have them.
Yeah, absolutely. Better if they send an email, because we will save the chat, but better if you send an email. And I think the next steps really is for us to contact all of you, as Anna said. We definitely have a new participant from Braunschweig, which is Dee, and you will send us an email. Thanks, Dee, for participating.
Yeah. Thank you.
And we will send the tool, the explanation, the little summary explanation. There is a tutorial on YouTube, even though it was on a previous version, but it might be helpful. And the link to this video of this presentation and the presentation as well. And I think we can take it from there. And at a certain point, we can maybe do another meeting to understand where we are at. So I personally would like to thank everyone that was here. Laurent is leaving, and we thank him as well. And it's a begin, and then hopefully we can start, as the asphalt technologies, to say to have our say on LCA of asphalt mixture, and then this TG we hope it would be helpful. So from me, thanks so much. Anna, I don't know if you want to have anything else.
No, also for me, thank you very much for being here. And we are looking forward to starting with this. So thank you.
Yes, be in touch and follow us on ResearchGate. We will use it for dissemination.
Yeah, there it is. Cool. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Anna, thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. John, I guess you can